Okay, I think we will go ahead and get started. Hi, I'm Roberta DiPietro. I'm the Executive Director of the Greater Miami Festivals and Events Association. We were founded in 1985 as a source to promote the success of the festivals events in the South Florida area. If it wasn't for this pandemic that we're all in, we would have had our annual one-day conference last week, where we would have hoped to have seen many of you. Well, we had workshops, we had a vendor showcase, a performance showcase, networking, happy hours. But due to the virus, we had to cancel that. Instead, we welcome you today to our virtual mini conference, Navigating Rough Seas. This is a 5-part series of workshops and events. Tomorrow, we'll have our virtual happy hour at 4, and the last of our series will be Thursday at 10. Tomorrow, we're going to provide hands-on ideas to celebrate your stakeholders. With one of our key components there is going to be a virtual wine tasting where we have a tour of a vineyard and a whole demonstration on how to host a virtual wine tasting. Thursday, we're going to look into executing contracts in the new normal, how we all put clauses in our contracts regarding COVID and other unforeseen instances. If you want to register for either of those 2 events, you can do so at festivalsmiami.com. And while we can't meet in person, we've been using Zoom. And today is the 3rd in our series of workshops. As we have many attendees, we have turned off the microphones and the video. If you do have a question, please use the Q&A function to submit your questions. At this time, I would like to turn the program over to Amanda MacMaster and Catherine Russell to present our workshop on Back to Business, Marketing on a Budget in the New Normal. Thank you, Amanda and Catherine.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Amanda MacMaster with MacManda Media. I just wanted to start by giving a little background about me, and then I'll let Catherine introduce herself as well. So I started with the event industry way back in 2009 when I became the director of marketing for the Miami Design Preservation League and Art Deco Weekend, where I worked for many, many years. And that's where I really grew to love events and festivals especially. I was very lucky during that time to join the board of Greater Miami Festivals and Events Association, which I still serve today. So I'd really love to welcome you all. I'm so excited you're all here. Since then, I've also worked as the Director of Marketing for Arts Garage up here in Delray Beach during their big turnaround. I was part of the team that helped take it from almost closing to a thriving nonprofit arts organization here in Delray. And due to the current situation, you know, things are rough, but I hope they're able to manage their way through that. Since then, I've been working with my company, MacManda Media, and we work with nonprofits, small businesses, and our favorite thing to do is work with events and arts organizations, which is my background. We do digital marketing, anything from social media to websites, email marketing campaigns, SEO, all that good stuff. And we also do graphic design work and branding. So I want to introduce Catherine Russell. MacManda Media is so glad to work with Catherine on many of our projects. And Catherine, I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. As Amanda said, I'm Catherine. We've been working together for about 5 years now. I am a content writer and content manager. What that means is I help small businesses, nonprofits, organizations increase their visibility and get found online. My original background has always been in marketing, but I did a lot of marketing for big events. And the events I primarily worked with were for nonprofits, for the American Red Cross, starting out with blood drives, bone marrow drives, and all of that. And that's transitioned into working. I next worked in software. And then a while back, I went into business for myself, and I'm a freelancer. So I have clients not only across the country, I have clients across the world. I have clients in the United States, Canada, Germany, Mexico, England, and France. Right now, I've had clients in Egypt, India, Thailand, and different places. And this common goal is, how do I get my stuff found online? That's what people want to know. I have a great idea. I have a great business. I have a great message. People need it, but no one is finding me. And that is what a content writer and a content manager does, is help you explore ways to get found online. And it doesn't always have to be expensive.
Great. Thank you, Catherine. So we're going to go ahead and begin the presentation. So I wanted to start out with this quote. It always seems impossible until it's done. And I know right now is a challenging time, and a lot of you are trying to figure out how to get your event, running, whether it's virtual or in person, and things are a little bit uncertain right now. And I know today we have a lot of information that we're going to give you, and we really tried to break it down into do-it-yourself strategies that you can begin implementing today to make it really easy for you. And I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. I want you to give it a try, and I think it will really help you. So we're really excited about this project, this presentation, and let's begin. Quick overview about what we're going to speak about today. One of the main themes throughout this whole presentation is communicate, don't just market. And we'll talk about that throughout the whole presentation. Another one is to learn new ways of doing things. So as we're pivoting in the business world, trying to come back in some way, we might have to adjust what we're doing. We're going to show you how you can do that. And less is more. Do only as much as you can do, right? So you want to make sure that whatever you take on, you're able to do well and not to take on too much. So we're going to talk about how you can do that as well. A few social media stats that we wanted to go over. So 60% of consumers visit your Facebook page before they visit your website or brick and mortar store. And that's in normal times, okay? That's a normal everyday times before this pandemic hit. 80% of your consumers look to see if your Facebook page is up to date. 62% of consumers say Facebook is the most useful social media channel to research small businesses. And Instagram users spend an average of 53 minutes per day on the site. So I'm going to let Catherine do the rest of those.
The important thing to remember is all these statistics are evolving continuously. And right now, we're seeing these statistics change rapidly. Why? Because everyone is at home and online more than ever before. Social media marketing is changing rapidly right now. So facts we could give you today may no longer be true tomorrow, may no longer be true next month, may no longer be true next year, but they are true right now. Why are people spending more time online than ever before? Because they can. People like to be online, but they couldn't be online as much as they wanted before because they were at work or at the gym or at their children's school or whatever their normal life was. But as we said, we're moving into a new normal. And what that new normal is, we don't exactly know now. And we don't exactly know how long this new normal will last. However, there is a lot of research coming out, and what we're seeing is that consumers want social ads and posts that show how they can return to normalcy, how they can get their old life back. And my biggest pet peeve about all this is marketers who are still using the words coronavirus, COVID, and pandemic as clickbait. They're trying to get people to click on those words to get to their message. And you don't need to, because that's not what people want. If you're writing about the pandemic, of course, But if you're trying to market your festival, there's no reason to talk about the pandemic. People know why you've done things differently. So help people solve their problem. And right now their problem is, how can I get my life back? How can I get back to normal?
Yes, and another reason why we wanted to show you these statistics is because we want to show you how important it is to have your social media platforms, your website, and your website up to date, because people are going there. Even if they go to your Facebook page and maybe they're not engaging with it, they're still using it as a research tool to see what your business is, what services you offer. So people are going there. So you want to make sure if they get there, all of your things are up to date.
If you haven't posted in a year, people will assume you're out of business.
Oh, that is so true. I know I've done that, looked up a business before and their Facebook page is out of date or there's no post, and I just assume they're not in business anymore. So one of the first things you can do is update your social media profiles. You want to give your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your Instagram, and other social media pages a polished appearance that is consistent with your branding. So you want to make sure that your logo is consistent across all of your different platforms. It's the same as your website, your Instagram, LinkedIn, or you have a nice updated headshot. You want to make sure the information that you have on all of those platforms is the same and consistent with your background. You want to make sure that your profile is not only accurate, but interesting, so people are interested in what you're doing. And you want to make sure it's very easy for people to contact you. Nothing is more frustrating than if they get to your profile your profile on whatever platform, and then they have to go to your website or start searching for your phone number or your email address. You want it to make it as easy as possible for people to connect with you. And you also want to make sure that your location and your services are clearly featured and up to date on your profile. I know I found a lot of different businesses on Instagram that I thought were interesting, and they had no location, so I had no idea if they were in my area or somewhere else in the world. So it's really important to make sure those things are updated. I wanted to show you a few examples of some of my clients and myself. You see here, this is Anna Hess. She's a luxury event planner and wedding designer. She has her nice updated headshot. It clearly states that she's a luxury event designer and wedding planner. She also says she has virtual services available. So for brides that might not be ready to meet in person, she lets them know, you know what, we can start this process virtually. She lists that she's in South Florida, so that's where she does business. And she also has a link to Linktree, which we do for all of our clients, which brings people to a little landing page that has her most recent blogs, a link to her services, a link to contact her, get a quote, sign up for her newsletter. It's all right there. Or you can contact her messenger through the buttons below. And you'll see that through the sample here with Studio B Squared and also mine. It clearly states what we're doing. It gives them a link to get any information that they need right away without searching for it. And you can contact us very easily.
From my end, when I'm looking at social media profiles, the two things I'm looking at, most important, as Amanda was just saying, links, make it easy for people, and call to action. What do you want the person who's reading your social media profile to do? So if you don't tell them what to do, they don't know what to do. Amanda and I are giving you a lot of information now. At the end of today's presentation, in the chat, we're going to share a document with you that has all of the links and articles we're referencing. One of the articles that we're going to share with you are actually two. We have an article on 5-minute social media makeover, how to do an audit on what should be in your social media profile, and a checklist of going through annually or quarterly to make sure your social media profiles are up to date. And again, those will be shared in the chat at the end of today's presentation, so you don't have to worry about writing all those down.
Yes, and thank you for mentioning the call to action. You can see in Studio B Squared and in mine, you know, his says, let's chat, book virtual coffee, and you can actually click the link and book that on his Calendly app right there. In mine, it says, check out our virtual survival kit, and you can click my link and boom, you get to this virtual survival kit. So on to Google.
Google My Business, in my opinion, is the most important thing you can do for local SEO. Most of you know what SEO is. It's search engine optimization. What most people don't understand is that when SEO started out 5-10 years ago, it was very technical. Today, SEO is 80% content and only 20% technical. What that means is, in order to rank and get found on search engines, the #1 search engine being Google by over 80%, you control it because you control your content. You don't need to hire a developer to do back-end things to help you get found on Google. Google My Business is a free tool. It's a free profile offered by Google. And as you see, a vast majority of people have not claimed their free Google My Profile listing. It's very simple to do. One of the articles we'll share with you explains how to do that. So once you claim it, you can update it and put the correct information in your Google My Business profile. If you look at your business in Google, you may see that profile off to the right. It gives a description of who you are, what you do, and perhaps a link to your website. And if you're looking at it, you might say, but I didn't do that. What that means is Google went out and found the information that it can about you and put it in your Google My Profile because you didn't claim it and update it yourself. So what ends up happening is, if there is wrong or incomplete information about your business on the website, then Google is displaying that incorrect information because it doesn't know any better. Once you claim your Google My Business profile, you control it. And you can go in and put in your hours. You can go in and put in photos of your location. You can have it linked to your Google reviews. You can go in and do updates. So if you have a special event coming up, you can list it there. If you have a special offer, you can list it there. So Google My Business gives you 2 opportunities. One, to claim and correct your free profile on Google. And the second is to help get yourself to rank higher on Google compared to your competitors. How do you do that? It's very simply, it's by, once you claim your Google My Business profile, you should go in, I recommend at minimum weekly, and update your profile. And that can be simply adding a new article or a new offer or a new message. So what you're telling Google is, not only is my information accurate and updated, but I am continuously adding new relevant information to my Google My Profile. And that lets Google know that you are providing information, and it's a critical signal that will help Google evaluate how accurate and useful your information is. And the result of that is you increase your rank in Google. It's not a one-to-one correlation. By claiming your Google My Business profile, you're not guaranteed to go up in rank. But what happens is, by continuously updating it and informing your followers, answering questions, sharing upcoming events, sharing news about your organization, you are signaling Google that you are updating the information that people who are on search want to know, and it increases your rank. And I have seen some extremely significant increases in rank in a period of months. And that's by staying at it. As Amanda said, there's many things you can do that are free that will help you improve your marketing. And this is one of them. Yes, it takes your time, but you don't need to hire an expert to do it. And the articles that we're going to share with you at the end will give you how to go in and claim it and update your profile on Google My Business.
I also wanted to mention, usually in my presentations, I go over Google for nonprofits and the Google grant. We don't have enough time to go into all of that today, but we are providing a link to that resource where you can sign up. If you're a nonprofit, you'd have to sign up for Google for nonprofits. It offers a lot of different benefits through Google and all of their resources. But it also offers that Google grant where nonprofits can get up to $10,000 a month in Google ads. And you can work with them to get through the process, or you can contact me for a free consultation and we can get you started. But definitely, if you're a nonprofit, you want to take advantage of that. So I just wanted to mention that, and we will send a link to that resource.
This is one of my favorite sayings, and if you know me, you hear me say it all the time. What's the point of having a website if no one can find it? And that's what content marketing is, and writing optimized content is all about. SEO, search engine optimization, is helping people and search engines find the information that they want to know. The whole point of your organization, the whole point of your content marketing is to solve people's problems. It's not about you, it's about them. So content marketing is letting you go in and make changes to your online copy so that it solves their problem. And again, you are not writing content for the search engines, you're writing optimized content so that search engines can understand what you do and how you do it. So when people go into a search engine and ask a question, how do I do this? Where do I find this? They know that you have the updated, relevant, and accurate information people are looking for. One thing I didn't mention about with Google My Business, or two things actually, are Google Maps and Google Voice Search. That's all about having optimized content, including in Google My Business. So if someone is on their phone and is looking for you, you come up if they ask a question to Siri, for example. That when people use the tools that are out there, your optimized content helps them solve their problem. One of my absolute free favorite tools for WordPress users is the YOAST SEO plugin. What the YOAST SEO plugin does is it allows you to write your blog or your page on a WordPress site, and it gives you a score of how well you're doing. So in the example we have on the screen, this is actually an article that is in the MacMaster Media blog. And you can see by looking at the feedback from this free tool that except for one item, SEO title width, which means the title was longer than 60 words, every single other key metric, of which there are 13, had a green, a positive result. So when you're creating content, YOAST is a free tool that gives you feedback, and you can see, uh-oh, I have a red, which means it's not optimized, or I have an orange, which means it's only partly optimized. And it gives you suggestions on how to get to the green, how to make your content optimized. And what that means is that you are using the right tools to confirm to anyone who's looking for your information that that's what this article is about. If it's about festival marketing, you want to use that keyword in your copy so that Google knows it is about festival marketing. And this free tool simplifies it for you. Another important tool for search engine optimization is alt text. Alt text means alternative text. And the easiest way to explain what alternative text is to say, Google cannot see a photo. So if you have a great blog post with a ton of photos and graphics and images that really help communicate your message, that's great, except Google doesn't know what that says. Alt text is a simple tool where you can write into the description of that image using alternative text to explain what is in that image. So that makes your images understood by people and search engines. Alt text is available for not only blog posts, alt text is available for images on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. I don't think Facebook has it. So what does that mean? That means if you're not using alt text in your images, then you have a less likely chance for that particular article or social media post to get returned to somebody who is searching for information on that topic. What else does that mean? That means you are not in compliance with ADA rules, American Disability Act. The American Disability Act requires that people who are creating websites and social media posts using images put alt text into their images. It is in fact a law. And there are lawsuits being filed against nonprofits such as museums or for-profits such as restaurants who are highly image oriented and aren't using alt text. So the important thing to remember is adding alt text is simple and it's free. It will help you get found on Google search when people are looking for information to solve their problem, and it keeps you in compliance with the American with Disabilities Act. And just a reminder, all of this will be available, all of our links and the articles we're referencing will be available in the chat box at the end of the presentation.
Yes, and I also wanted to mention that if you have questions, we'll answer them at the end of the presentation as well, and you can put those in the Q&A box. Just to follow up on alt text and how important it is, I just started working with the South Beach Jazz Festival, which was started by a man named David who is blind, and one of their missions is to make sure that all of their events in their festival as well as their marketing is available and to everybody, no matter what. So alt text is a huge part of that marketing campaign. It's a huge part of allowing the visually impaired to know what we're putting out there, no matter what. So I wanted to thank you for explaining that, Catherine, because it is very important. So the next thing we're going to go over is branding and design. So at MacMaster Media, we do graphic design, and we have a graphic designer that we use as well. But some people, you know, you're a solopreneur, or maybe you're a nonprofit that has a small staff, or maybe right now you just can't afford a graphic designer, and that's okay because there are options. I wanted to tell you about a few tools that I personally really like to use. Just to make some social media posts or whatever, but they can do a lot more than that. You can do a whole bunch of different types of digital graphics and also print graphics for any of your marketing needs. And you can make sure they're all branded to your event or your business. First, I'm going to talk about PicMonkey. PicMonkey has a ton of different layouts, from flyers to brochures to, you know, story posts. Or Instagram stories, anything like that, you can find a great layout, and you can just kind of swap in pictures and colors and fonts. But also it acts sort of like Photoshop, so it gives you a lot of tools that help you edit pictures. So if you don't know how to use Photoshop, this is a great alternative. It makes it really easy to edit photos. Canva, I want to talk about a little bit more in depth. Canva has a pro version, which is, I don't know, I think like $15 a month for businesses. But if you're a nonprofit, they actually have a nonprofit program where you get all of their pro features absolutely free. And again, that's a link that we provided on our landing page, which we will be giving you in the chat at the end of the presentation. So you can sign up for Canva for nonprofits if you are a nonprofit. And I wanted to show you a little bit about the benefits that you get. One thing is you get this brand kit with the pro version. And again, Canva has, just like PicMonkey, tons and tons of different really easy layouts. But with the pro version, you get this brand kit. So as you can see, I was able to upload my logo, and then I can use it really quick on anything that I'm designing. You can upload your brand colors and your fonts, you can see down here at the bottom. And then over on the other side, you'll see just two quick, one is a post I created, one is an Instagram story graphic. And I did those in about 5 minutes. I picked two layouts that I liked. I swapped out some of the fonts and the colors and the picture, added my logo, and I was good. So this is a really great resource and tool if you don't have access or can't afford a graphic designer right now. In addition to the brand kit with the pro version, you also get access to a lot of stock photos, which I believe they get from Unsplash. And so you have tons of stock photos to choose from as well. Of course, we recommend you use your own photos, but stock photos are a great alternative. So I just wanted to show you this for your branding and your graphic needs. I know Catherine uses it to create some animation, is that right?
Yeah, one of my favorite things about Canva is you can very easily make animated posts. I have absolutely no graphic design skills, so when someone like Amanda makes a fabulous looking presentation like this, I am super impressed, which I've been telling her for 2 days how much I love it. But I don't have those skills. So not only does Canva have templates that help me put together a nice looking post, it also lets me animate it so that I get the action and the movement which users like to see in their social media posts. One other free tool I wanted to mention that I have not actually used yet is there is a new free video builder by YouTube, and it's in the beta version, and I had applied for it, just got access to it on Friday and have not had time to create my first video. But because most of my clients are on YouTube and I don't have those kinds of skills, looking for free video editors is another important option to get people to see and remember your posts.
Excellent. So the next thing we want to talk about is client personas, and I'm going to let Catherine take this one.
Most people know when you're creating content for online reading, whether it's blog posts, marketing, social media posts, whatever it is, you're supposed to be talking to your target audience. And what does that mean? And here's my best example of figuring out who your client persona is and who is your target audience. This is a real world example. And I had a client one time when I asked, well, who's your target audience? It was a new client. And she said millennial moms. And she thought she was being super specific. She knew who her audience was, millennial moms. And we went through an exercise where we talked about the 3 different kinds of millennial moms that she has. The chic urban millennial mom versus the suburban soccer mom versus the earth mother millennial mom. They are all different. They live on different channels. They have different lifestyles. They use different words. They have different priorities. So you have to narrow down who your target audience is. And for my, when I'm making these client personas, I always use some kind of image with them. I have seen many people who just write it out. That's great, but I think a picture speaks 1,000 words. When I'm trying to write content for a specific target audience, it's easier for me to look at a picture to remind myself of who the audience is, and than it is to sit and read these, 200 words on each one of these personas. One thing that is not in these personas, simply because we didn't have time to update it, that I strongly recommend is, in addition to the categories we're talking about here, lifestyle, habits, and hobbies, that you have hashtags. So I always include hashtags in my client personas so that if I'm on Instagram, I know what hashtag that particular audience uses, which may be very different than the exact same audience would use on Twitter, for example. So client persona is writing out a detailed description of who your target audience is so that you can customize your messaging to that audience. And again, it's free to do, except it takes your time.
And also, once you write these out, this is really a good research if you are doing Facebook or Google ads, and you know which target audience or client persona you want to reach. You can actually use these to develop your audiences on Facebook or Google. So these are a good resource for that as well. So now that you have your profiles update, you have your branding ready to go, and you know who your client personas are, we're gonna talk about social media. And I can't believe it's already 10:37. So we're gonna try to get through this as quick as possible. But remember, we're gonna send you a link to a lot of resources when the presentation is over, and you can always reach out for a consultation if you have any questions. So the first thing, because a lot of people on here are event planners, but even if you have a business, a lot of times you might do a workshop or a networking event, or, you know, all sorts of different things. So Facebook events is really good for everybody. And here's just a few reasons why. One, it's easy to invite people to Facebook events. And I'm going to get into this a little bit later, but you can invite any of your friends that might be interested in the event, and you can have other people invite their friends to get more people interested as well. Facebook shows RSVP notifications in the news feed. So when you RSVP to a Facebook event, it's going to show up in your news feed as to show people that you did that. And then all of your friends, or a percentage of your friends, are going to see that you RSVP'd, and they might RSVP as well. So it's kind of like a free promotion. Facebook shows user suggested events. So, you know, if your event is like other events that people are going to or interested in, they might see your event. So again, just free promotion with Facebook. If you add a location to the post, you get increased visibility in that area. Facebook will shows you what events are coming up in your area. And once we get back to in-person events, which hopefully is soon, this is a really good tool to use. And Facebook sends RSVP reminders just like Zoom does. So that's really good, because a lot of times people RSVP and they forget, but Facebook will remind them that they did it and that the event is coming up. And finally, it syncs with Eventbrite. And then that's, or add, I guess I forgot the A, ticket link. So the really great thing about Eventbrite is you can actually buy your tickets right on the Facebook event. You don't have to click out, which is always good. Or if you're not using Eventbrite, if you're using another ticket service, you can actually add a ticket link, which is great. One thing that I always use when I'm marketing events, but you can also use them if you have a business and you're marketing your service or products, is brand ambassadors. And who are brand ambassadors? Well, they can be paid employees, they can be volunteers, board members, or vendors. And what you want to do with your brand ambassadors is you want to provide them with the tools they need to market your event or your business. So you want to give them a Dropbox link with social media post graphics, flyers, story graphics, anything like that, so they have access to it and can use it when they need to. You want to give them content that they can use in social media posts or an e-blast to their contacts. You want to give them a hashtag list, and a reminder that we should all be using hashtags to be found on social media. But once you have that strategic hashtag list created for your event or your product, you want to make sure that your brand ambassadors also have that to use, so their posts will be seen by more people. And you also want to make sure you give them the RSVP or ticket link, so they can share that in their posts or their emails, so people can have direct access to say they're coming. And directions. And what I mean by directions is you want that to tell them what to do with this information in detail, just so they do it right. I'm kind of going to give you a little bit of an example on the next slide. So you can also get your fans involved. One thing that I love to do, especially with my event clients, is ask their fans to also invite people who would enjoy the event or service. And how do you do that? If you look below this little example, this is actually a screenshot of the bottom of an event email that we blasted out for an event client. And it basically just says, please help us spread the word by inviting others to the Facebook event. And it actually gives them directions on how to do that and the link to RSVP. This helped tremendously with one of our events. It grew exponentially. We also put these directions in different Facebook groups that were similar to the event that we were promoting. And we put this in the actual Facebook event. So anybody that already RSVP'd, we actually asked them to invite more people, which helped grow the RSVP list to almost 1,000 people. And we didn't really do that much advertising at all. So it's a great free way to get more people interested in your event. So the next few slides are kind of based in some content things. And one thing we want to remember is to always be a resource, not a sales pitch. So you don't want to sell, because that's not interesting to people. You want to show that you're an expert in your field, or that you have a really exciting, interesting event coming up, and to tell them all the juicy, exciting details. And in this new normal, as we kind of transition from being quarantined into slowly opening with some uncertainty, we need to remember again that we need to constantly be updating everything, and that includes our content strategy. So if you have new goals, new services, you need a new strategy. We want to make sure that you're clearly telling people about anything that you're doing. If you're opening your business, if you're opening your event but can only have 10 people or whatever it is, clearly put that out there. And you want to make sure that your content is relevant and interesting. Here's just a few examples so you get the idea. And again, I'm kind of going fast because we're running out of time, but we do have links to all of these things. Here's my client, Zuner Realty. And so obviously they were really nervous when the quarantine happened that people didn't want to come in and look at houses, or people didn't want other people in their house looking. So we changed the content to show people how to prep your home for a 360 video so that you could do house tours online. So that's one example how they changed their content. Here's Anna Hest, my client, who's an event planner and a wedding planner. So right now, instead of trying to, try to get brides and book weddings and all of that stuff, she's actually helping brides navigate the process of having to cancel or postpone their wedding to rebook it, and trying to help them figure out when and how many people. So it's a whole different thing. So we wrote a blog post about that. Actually, Catherine helps me with a lot of these blog posts. I highly recommend her. And we put that out as a marketing campaign. Same thing with Fariel here. She's an image consultant. She helps people, look good for presentations or work or big meetings or just in life. But not a lot of people are going out anymore, or at least they weren't. Now they're starting to. But she decided to start a free webinar about organizing your wardrobe and your closet, which actually sold out. It was free, but she only could have 100 people and it was booked. And now she has a ton of new contacts. And then of course, Kevin, who's an interior designer, and we're talking more about styling and making a home office, functional and looking good. So he's kind of transitioned into home office. So those are just some examples of pivoting your content strategy. The other thing you really want to do is to get creative, right? So Facebook and Instagram make it really hard to get organic content. They want you to pay for ads and boosts. So one thing you want to do is try to be different and stand out. Two of these examples are from Anna Hess, who's on here, my client. She's amazing. And the first one is when we first went into quarantine and people were still doing happy hours. And this is her quarantini and her quarantini recipe. And it actually spells out COVID, which was really great and creative, and she's amazing. And she put the toilet paper in the background, and it went viral on its own. So it got a ton of organic engagement. People loved it. People were sharing it, and we didn't even have to boost it. Same thing with her post Way Over. This is for Passover. It's not a stock photo. Catherine's like, that's a stock photo. I was like, no, that's actually a photo of the spread that Anna put together for Passover. And the post basically says, Passover board, yum, like you might not be able to be with your whole family, or maybe you're in Zoom, but your immediate family can still enjoy this beautiful board. And she did that. And instead of just putting up a happy Passover image, she showed her talents and her skills, and she got a ton of engagement for that. And then finally, with Yiddishkeit Initiative, they put out a Yiddish language speaking course. So we tried to have fun with different words used in the Yiddish language that are also very common in the English language. So we'd put out short little definitions. Sometimes we'd ask people to use words and sentences. And it was just a fun way to get a lot of engagement. And the class was actually really successful. So just a few samples there. One of the really important things to do right now that we can't network in person is to join groups. So social media is really about getting social, and groups is all about being social. So I really encourage you to join Facebook groups for a few reasons. One, to network. So the events and the festivals and events industry has a ton of Facebook groups. And you can put on there that you're looking for vendors, you're looking for, different things. You can talk about your struggles, your successes. You can share your knowledge or most recent information with other people in your industry, or you can gain that information there. So it's really important to be on there. You can also promote your upcoming event in many of these groups. I know that Greater Miami Festivals and Events Association has a group called South Florida Festivals and Events Community. Please join. You can share your upcoming event, share what you have going on. If you're a vendor, you can share your services with the event planners. It also helps you promote your business. And one example I wanted to give was the Supper Club. The Supper Club is a Facebook group that was started in Delray Beach. And it started when the quarantine started, and this man wanted to help local restaurants stay in business. So he started the Supper Club, and he promoted different takeout specials from all the different restaurants in Delray. And it helped so much, it went viral. So it grew very large, and then the Supper Club started opening different chapters. So they have like a Boynton Beach one, they have the Miami, Fort Lauderdale. So a whole bunch of different ones. And restaurants actually that were closed were able to open and start making money through takeout just because of these Supper Club Facebook groups. So it was very powerful what they did. And restaurants that weren't participating in this really missed out on this opportunity. Another example is that you can connect with your community through these groups. So really quick, there's a sample. My client is a real estate agent or a real estate company, Zuner, and they started Boca Point Community Cares. They specialize in Boca Point. It's a small area in Boca Raton. But in this group, they never sell real estate. They never talk about real estate. All they do is show that they care about their community. So we post as Zuner in the group. But during quarantine, we just asked if any of the neighbors needed anything, how people were doing, what Netflix shows they were watching. As things start to open, they would talk about what pools in the community were opening up, what the best farmers markets were to go to. And now people are really starting to build relationships with each other. And they're really looking at Zuner as a local real estate company that cares about the community. So Zuner has actually gotten business from this because they built their brand that they care about Boca Point instead of selling. So. Okay, this is really important. If you're like me, you may not want to get in front of the camera on Facebook, but it's a really great way to market your event or your business. And we're going to give you a few examples shortly. I also quickly wanted to mention a few other really popular tools on social media, which is IGTV, which is gaining a lot of engagement right now. It's on Instagram TV. You can upload pre-produced videos up to 10 minutes and get a lot of engagement, and also stories. I'm sure you all know about stories, and if you can remember to use them, use them. It's very popular right now. But today we're going to talk about going live. Another option real quick before we talk about live is Premiere. Premiere is a new tool on Facebook. It allows you to upload and schedule a pre-produced video that can premiere on Facebook. It will notify your audience when you schedule it that you have an upcoming video that is going to premiere on a certain date. And then when it premieres, you get all the benefits of a live video without actually having to go live, right? So it will notify them that you just premiered a video, so you get a lot more people watching. It gives them the option to start watch parties and all those sorts of things. So if you don't like to go live, Premiere is an option for you, so you can check that out. But if you do want to go live, there's a lot of things you can do. So you can do your live events, concerts, theater, poetry, painting, workshops, classes. We're actually live on Facebook right now with this workshop on the Greater Miami Festivals and Events page. You can do tours. So people might not be able to come into your art gallery or museum, but you can bring them in and give them a tour online. You can do quick videos, quick tips, interviews, or just give news or information.
One quick example I wanted to give is what Amanda was saying, just do quick tips or information. I had a client, not the bankruptcy attorney that you spoke with last week, a different bankruptcy attorney. He'd never done a webinar, and he was doing his first webinar in April to help franchise owners who needed debt relief. He had a very small Facebook audience. He had a very small mailing list. He was trying to figure out how to promote the webinar. I convinced him to go live. His kids were in the house. His wife was in the house. So he went out in his backyard in his baseball cap and his t-shirt, and he did a less than 1 minute Facebook Live announcing that his free webinar was on Wednesday. This was Sunday night, and that here's the link. I quickly went in, I updated the description, and I updated the title. I added keywords. He was very upset because during his 1 minute live video, he only had 1 viewer. So he was totally upset. I promised him not to worry. He went to bed. The next morning we woke up. There were over 1,000 views on his 1 minute Facebook Live, and he filled up his 100-person webinar, which was his goal. The point is, don't be afraid to go live. Don't be afraid to do something different. Don't be afraid to do something that you are 100% sure won't work, because it might work.
Absolutely. And I wanted to give another example of an event that I did that went live. My client Yiddish Kite Initiative had a bunch of cultural and theater performances that were live in theater scheduled for March and April. They had to cancel all those ticketed events, didn't know what to do. We convinced them to go live for free on Facebook with one of their performances, Yiddish tangos. We did have a small budget of like $150, which we used a little bit before to promote and get people interested, and then the rest we used after to try to spread the video a little bit more. But when we went live, it went viral on its own. During the presentation, it had over 2,000 views. When it was live, it was getting hundreds of engagements while live. And then after, now you can see it's been viewed by or seen by over 135,000 people with over 23,000 engagements from people all over the world. So they reach people they never could in a small theater in South Florida. But one thing that we did was we put the link there that you can see to ask people to sign up for their newsletter and to donate to the Yiddish Kite Initiative. So even though they may not have earned those ticket sales, they got a lot of money in donations from this. They got hundreds of new email subscribers, and they went from about 800 people following their Facebook to almost 2,000 people following their Facebook page. And they had a few live performances since then that did similar things, not as successful as this one, but very successful nonetheless. And now recently they launched a paid workshop where people pay like $60 for a Yiddish language class, and it's like 6 weeks. And they sold over 80 tickets. So now they made $4,000 because they had grown their contact list with people who were very interested in what they were doing. And the campaign that we did reached more people due to their increase of followers as well. So don't be scared to go live. Now we're going to talk about your contact list. Catherine, did you want to start this one?
The important thing about a mailing list is to remember that people do read emails. There are more opens of emails, and your email is far more likely to get sent to your targeted marketing list than people will actually see your post. So getting a list of people who are interested in receiving information about your business, about your service, about what you offer, and how it will help them is important. And it doesn't have to be difficult or expensive to grow your mailing list. We do not buy mailing lists.
Absolutely. And just a quick example is my client Anna Hess. She wants to contact brides. So she actually made this 12-month wedding planning guide with a list of things you need to do as a bride each month leading up to your wedding. And we made it into this beautiful PDF, which you can see here. And we made it downloadable. And using MailChimp and some Facebook ads, we started a post that says, you know, engaged, let us help you with this ultimate wedding checklist, download for free, or something to that effect. So now brides are getting this really great free tool that has her information all over it, and she's collecting emails of her target market, which is South Florida brides, and now she can contact them with different offers and things that they can do and, you know, get some business from her contact list. So that's, you know, one thing that you can do.
One of my favorite things is your content manager, your contact manager should have tags so that you can sort who is on your list. You don't want to sort only by where they live, for example, the city or the state. You also want to sort by useful information that helps you target your content to your target audience, such as what was the source of their name? Did you get that name through a particular event? Did you get that name through a particular free giveaway? So not only keep their contact information, keep the source of how you got their contact information so that you can use that for targeted marketing in the future.
Yes, and a quick example is when I was with the Arts Garage, is the director of marketing. We tagged our mailing list by what people were interested in, because Arts Garage offers art exhibits, rock music, jazz music, blues, rap, you know, reggae, everything that you can think of. So we tagged people by what events they attended or what events they were interested in. And then we would send specific e-blasts out. Let's say we had a new jazz schedule coming up or a new jazz series. We could just send that jazz series to the people who have come to jazz in the past or that were only interested in jazz. And because we did those targeted emails and those targeted tags, it allowed us to get a much greater open rate on our emails, but also sell more tickets because people were getting things they were interested in, opening them up, and then actually buying tickets. So that's one example of how to use tags. I'm going to go through this really quick, if not just skip it because we're going a little bit late. During this time, if you are doing something for your community, like here's just two quick examples. My client, Emiliano, he doesn't just say support businesses local, like support local businesses. He actually does it. He's out there trying to stay with his mask or 6 feet away, but buying from local restaurants, buying from local businesses, really supporting his community. So we started a campaign, Support Local, which got him a ton of engagement. We were able to tag all of those businesses who all reposted it in their stories and on their platforms. So now he's getting a lot more business just from a campaign of doing something that he does anyways. He's just in his nature to want to support the community. And then there's Amanda Perna. She's not my client, but she's kind of a local celebrity here in Delray. She's on the show Bravo Runway or something. She's a fashion designer. Instead of, you know, doing her normal business, she actually started making masks, and she's making a ton of them, giving them to medical professionals, donating one every time someone buys one, which got her a ton of PR and press, and now people all over the world know about her business. So if you're doing anything to give back to the community, solving a problem, Remember, it's not about you, it's about whatever you're doing for the community. Share it, tag people that are involved. It's a story, it will help get you engagement. Real quick. So I recommend scheduling your social media, not all of it. Obviously, you have to do some live, you have to do some really relevant things. But if you can create a campaign or a content calendar that will help you stay focused and stay on message, and you can schedule them out. So a few tools that you can use that I use and I recommend are Hootsuite. You can schedule Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and even Instagram now. Another one I use is onlypolt.com. I use it for Instagram. I've used it for a long time. I don't want to switch, but I really like it because it lets you schedule stories as well. Again, all of these will be in our resource link at the end of the presentation. Later.com also lets you schedule Instagram and stories. I've never used it, but I put it on there because I know a lot of people that love it and use it, and I think it's free. I'm not 100% sure. And then tools like brownylocks.com, which tells you, what observances there are each month, each week, and what silly holidays are each day. Helps you think of just content. So if it's like Women's History Month, you might want to skew your some of your content to, featuring women that are in your organization or whatever it is. Sometimes you have silly holidays that might be National Festivals Day, so that's something that GMFEA would want to highlight and put in their content calendar. So these are just some tools for you to use. One thing to remember is to schedule, but don't forget about it. So you don't want to just let it go. A good example is because there could be a huge pandemic that comes and that you weren't expecting. And then if you scheduled out your content for months and you just leave it, it won't make any sense to people. I'm sure there was a lot of bad content that went out. So make sure that, especially during these crazy times, you're not scheduling too far ahead and that you're remembering to go back and check and adjust anything that might be needed to adjust. The last thing you want to do is put out something that gives you negative PR.
You don't want to look automated. You want to simplify your life without looking automated.
Exactly.
Again, real quickly, we want to just briefly touch on PR and SEO. Common to popular opinion, the press release is not dead. Press releases are extremely important, but the difference is you should use content optimization strategies on your press releases. That includes keywords, clear messaging, targeting your online audience, so knowing which one of those millennial moms you're trying to profile, having links, including videos, including quotes, including graphics, all those things that you use as strategies in writing your online blogs and social media posts should also be used in writing press releases and more formal articles. Sometimes it's not a press release. Sometimes I'm asked to write an article for a newspaper or an association that's read by people. People want links, people want engagement, people want it to be simple to read. They're not looking to try and read and understand a 1,000-word volume. They want to get the message and get it quickly in the most consumable manner possible. So if you give them links and videos and quotes and graphics, they're likely to click, find out more, and even more important, they're likely to remember it. This is a quick example of a new Facebook Live series that I launched with a client. It's a divorce attorney, and in this particular scenario, the issue was that the fact of the matter was that in New Jersey, domestic abuse was going up dramatically during the quarantine because people were stuck in the home with their abuser. They couldn't force the person to leave. And so this law firm started a weekly series on domestic abuse, Facebook Live series, and we didn't want to just talk to their current clients. We were trying to reach new audiences and give them the options, give them the shelters, tell them what the courts were presently doing. The courts weren't closed, which everyone thought. The shelters weren't closed, which everyone thought, but we had to get the information out there. So we did a quick press release and getting new audiences who desperately need important information, who it would not have been reached without the Facebook Live series, and they probably wouldn't have known about it without the press release. Less is more. One of the things we talked about right at the beginning of today's presentation is only do as much as you can do. You cannot do every single thing we've talked about today, starting today. Figure out what you can do and do it well. Less is more. Figure out what your audience's favorite channel is and go there. If your audience is on Instagram, go to Instagram. If your audience is not on Twitter, then stop making Twitter posts. Do what you can do and do it well. Don't overwhelm yourself, or you're setting yourself up to fail. Set yourself up for success. Less is more.
Okay, real quick, a few resources I wanted to mention. If you are having a virtual or in-person event, there are tons of free calendars. If you email me after this, I can send you a list of them in the South Florida area. It's a great way to promote your event. You know, get on there. There's a ton of industry organizations and associations that will help you. For example, Greater Miami Festivals and Events Association. The membership is not that expensive. I think it's like $100 or $150, and maybe a little bit more for a for-profit business. But you get access to a lot of educational workshops like this one. You get discounts on if we were having a conference, you would get a discount into our in-person conference. We do happy hours. We can talk to other people in the industry, and we also promote your event, okay, or your business. If you're a vendor for event professionals, we will share your information with our event members. So there's a lot of other ones. We added them to our resource list, like Americans for the Arts, the Florida Festivals and Events Association, the Arts and Business Council, the Greater Miami Visitors and Convention Bureau. So there's a lot of them out there that can help you with education, networking, and promoting your event or business. And the most important thing I think right now is we all want to stay social and relevant. So these online networking, virtual networking are really important right now with other people in your industry. Yeah, so this is about reviews. You want to quickly go over this, Catherine?
Sure. The important thing about online reviews is if you think about, do you want to attend an event? Do you want to go to a restaurant? Do you want to visit a new city? Who do you ask? You don't typically ask that city. You ask your friends and contacts. I'm going to Chicago. Where should I eat there? I'm looking for a new movie. What does everybody recommend? I'm going to South Florida. I want to go to a few fun festivals. What should I go to? Social reviews, online reviews are critical for making purchase decisions about what consumers are going to do. Most people, dramatically, most people use reviews to help them decide what people are buying or choosing not to do, or what they're returning. Think about Amazon. If you go on Amazon before you buy a new product, what do? You check the reviews. There's a secret value of negative reviews. Most business owners think, let's get rid of a negative review. How can I hide it? In fact, unless it's a spam bot, which of course happens, it's important that you listen to a negative review, find out if it's valid, and respond to it. If they've posted it online, many sites do not give you an opportunity to delete a negative review. So it's even more important that instead of ignoring it, instead of trying to bury it by asking all your friends and contacts to make a positive review, respond to it and consider, is this something that I really need to take into consideration about my event or my business? You can take those customer reviews and use them to leverage and promote your business and grow your online reputation. And someone just asked about our resources real quickly. I shared the resource list in the chat box shortly before 11. So people who did have to sign off at the time of the hour, you should have it in your chat box already. Okay,
so real quick, I reshared that resource list because you only sent it to panelists. So I sent it to all attendees as well. But now everybody should have it. It's one of the most recent comments in there. And real quick, this is the last slide, I believe, so we're about to take questions, but this is just an example of how we reuse a testimonial or review for Anna Hess, who's one of my favorite clients. She's an amazing event planner and wedding planner. So if you know someone getting married, AnnaHessEvents.com, she's on here. She's a super creative, amazing person. Anyways, but this is an example. We took the review, we made it into a beautiful little social media post, and we put it as part of her social media campaign. So that's just one sample of what you can do to repurpose your reviews. And thank you. So sorry we went over, but we had a lot of information to go over. We have so much more we could share with you, but we appreciate everyone who stayed for this presentation. So we can open it up to questions.
Roberta, how long do you want to stay on questions right now?
We can stay on as long as people stay on.
Okay.
Good.
A couple of the questions have to do with keywords and YOAST, and I'm going to talk about that for just a minute. YOAST is not available on Wix. I do use Wix for some clients' websites, and I am not aware of a content optimization tool for Wix. And I don't know what tooltip is, Elaine, or I would recommend something else. I don't know tooltip. Question about keywords on YouTube. Yes, YouTube uses keywords. So when you're creating a YouTube video, not only should you use keywords and optimization in the about information for your video and the title of your video, you should also use relative keywords in the links that you add at the bottom of the video. And most importantly in YouTube, a little known secret, it seems to be, is when you're writing the copy, your about on YouTube, also include your hashtags, not just the keywords, but your hashtags. The first 3 hashtags you include in your description of your YouTube video will also display and are searchable on YouTube. So it's very important to use hashtags in your YouTube video descriptions.
Amanda, do you see the one as your company Facebook page as important if you're selling B2B?
So I think Facebook is important for everybody, in my opinion. Facebook business pages aren't seeing as much as engagement, but like we said in the beginning, it's really important just to keep them updated. It's also useful if you want to do ads. You need that Facebook business page to do Facebook ads. And you should be using Facebook pages for those Facebook groups, because you can reach a lot of businesses through different Facebook groups. And then you can even join those groups as your business, and then they want more information, they can go back to your business page and get that information.
Okay, there's another one here, might be for an attorney, but for a Florida municipality, does the content you post to Google My Business require archiving for records retention as is necessary with other platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram? I guess that's for Sunshine. I would assume it is, but I think that, I don't know if either of you have an answer for that.
I
have no idea.
Okay, maybe Thursday our attorney will be able to answer that one. Nadine put in a big question, but I think she put in the chat that the whole presentation answered all her questions. She put it in at the beginning. And what's the difference between alt text and tooltip?
I don't know what tooltip is. Alt text is writing in a description of your image on all of your blog posts, website pages, social media posts. I don't know what tooltip is, Elaine.
Okay. I'm not sure we know this one either. Do you know an approximate cost of licensing for music on live streams, particularly if live streaming concerts? Do you have a process for archiving the live streams comments or a service you know of that does? We use Smarsh and they are not able to capture Facebook Live, IGTV, or stories on either platform, so we've typically refrained from using them.
I have no idea. I'm really sorry.
Okay. Yeah, we may have to look into that a little bit. We'll try to see if we can get an answer out there. Okay, here's one. I'm new to GMFEA and wonder if there's a members directory. I need to leave for a meeting. Hope this will be shared via email. Thank you. The answer to that is yes. Our member directory is online. And I don't know if you answered this one about hashtags. Can you talk a minute about hashtags? I don't understand how they work. Anybody want to answer that one quickly?
I can start. I know Catherine knows a lot about hashtags also. So hashtags are the little tags that you put, like, you know, that little number sign and then a word, and they're keywords. So basically on Instagram, Twitter, the different social media platforms, they help your post get found. So if you use a hashtag, people can do searches with hashtags, and any post that uses those hashtags, all of the posts will come up. They can rearrange how they want to see them, either most recent or most popular. When you're thinking about hashtags, you want to do some research and find out what hashtags are used in your industry, what hashtags are used by people that might be interested in your event, service, or product, and also location. If your business is local, there's a lot of local hashtags you can use. Also for our event people, a lot of our associations that we belong to use hashtags. For example, like the Greater Miami Visitors and Convention Bureau uses, I think, Miami and the beaches as their hashtag. If you use that, they might share that. So that's a good one to use. I see she's asking how many do you recommend? It really depends on the platform. I know on Instagram you can use up to 30, and I don't put it right in the post. I actually make a comment and I use 30 hashtags, but I don't want to make it look like I'm using 30 hashtags, so I put it as a comment instead of in the post. On something like Twitter, you don't have a lot of room, so you don't want to use too many, but definitely use a handful of hashtags there. And then on Facebook, you could I usually just use one or two, but it really depends. You can also use them on LinkedIn. Catherine, did you have anything else to add?
One of the important things to remember about hashtags, and this is very new, as I mentioned earlier, you can use hashtags on YouTube in your video descriptions. Google search, if you enter a hashtag into Google search is returning contents on different platforms, from your blog post to your website to LinkedIn articles to Instagram to Twitter, and it is returning hashtags that were used in posts on those different mediums. So hashtags were originally designed to sort and organize information within a specific social platform, but now search engines are using them to gather from multiple search engines. So it's, again, another way of amplifying your message and reaching new audiences. So hashtag strategy is very important to your online marketing.
Okay, and I think we have an answer here for the music licensing. Christine Jenkins writes in, you can call BMI for a one-time license for music. Cost is about $250. So thank you, Christine, answering Kristen. So thank you for sharing. And I think that is all of our questions. I want to thank everyone for coming today. I certainly want to thank Amanda and Catherine for a wonderful presentation. A lot of good ideas. This presentation will be posted on our YouTube page. You can access it through our website, festivalsmiami.com. And also we will be sharing the slide deck. So I want to thank everyone for coming. It was a great presentation, and we hope to see you tomorrow at our happy hour at 4 o'clock, festivalsmiami.com to register for that, and Thursday for our attorney questions and emphasis on contracts. Thank you for coming. We'll see you all tomorrow at 4 and Thursday at 10. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Have a good afternoon. Thanks for attending.
Bye.
Hey, everybody.